seconds. All right.
Wait, hold on. Okay.
Hi. This is our Pecha Kucha. This is me, Jameson, Arnav, Jacqueline, and Tad, and we're going to be talking to you guys about blockchain and its applications and its relevancy today and the future of what it could possibly be as far as cryptocurrency and other applications that we see fit.
Yeah, so a little bit of an overview about our presentation. We're going to first talk about a little bit of background to give you some context to this topic. Then we're going to talk about what blockchain technology actually is. Then we're going to talk about how blockchain and decentralized finance works and what its applications are to the real world. Then we're going to talk about what is holding DeFi back, why is it not blowing up yet? And then we're going to talk about what's to come in the future, what we think is gonna happen. So yeah,
absolutely.
So for background, we're going to get into some of the background on DeFi and how it's applicable to use blockchain for financial systems.
Right.
So what is cryptocurrency? Here we have some nice photos to show Ethereum and Bitcoin, two of the main coins. And cryptocurrency is a digital or virtual currency that is secured by cryptography, and that makes it nearly impossible to be counterfeit or to double spend. And the majority of them are based on blockchain, and that's why it's relevant. Here we have Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it's a distributed ledger enforced by a disparate network of computers.
Awesome. Yeah. So just a little bit of background on blockchain technology and how blockchain enables all the things that Jacqueline was talking about on the previous slide is that blockchain is a sequence of different blocks, if you will, of immutable code that are based on a decentralized network of computers. So no individual or no certain organization can access or change the blockchain just on their own volition, which enables these cryptocurrencies to be not only unique in the way that they can't be replicated or copied, but also not changed by any individual because they're spread out among a decentralized network of computers. Yeah, so I was already talking about blockchain and how it's immutable and how it's decentralized, but the application of that is that in the sense of Bitcoin or Ethereum, when you invest in Bitcoin or Ethereum, you're buying a particular piece or a particular coin of one of these two cryptocurrencies. And what that means is you're buying like a unique piece of code on the blockchain. And once you buy that, and once you have your unique piece of data, that can't be changed because it's a part of a long piece of blockchain that is decentralized and immutable.
So yeah, so when we talk about decentralized finance and blockchains, we should look back to what is our traditional system of banking, which is traditional central banks. So what that means is that they're an independent national authority. They conduct monetary policy, regulate banks, and provide financial services. Their goals include stabilizing nation's currency. They work with the Fed to do this, keep unemployment low, prevent inflation rates. And then most of them are governed by a board. So kind of what we're seeing here is that it's a lot more structured. It's a lot more organized. They have a governing authority. And that's kind of where we're coming from. And now how DeFi is kind of changing that.
So now we'll talk about kind of the differences between the traditional system versus the decentralized system. And in the middle, like you can see the infographic, it shows the traditional system and then the decentralized system. You can see how everything connects and there's no middle just ground for financial systems. And for the traditional system, it works on a centralized platform and it's controlled by government agencies and just different intermediaries of all kinds. And it includes different methods like giving loans, overdrafts, creating accounts, and it's more of a brick and mortar style banking. And the need for an open, transparent, and secure financial system is why DeFi would be important, and people are seeing more benefit of moving towards a decentralized system. And a decentralized system would employ a more open financial sector that runs on a software built on top of a public blockchain, which kind of allows everyone to have access to it. And it would be a financial tool that is outside of the government, and it's like regulatory control, which makes it completely different from the traditional financial system.
Right. So I'm going to just talk about the 6 primary features that really define the difference between blockchains and their public nature, and the difference between them and centralized private networks. And the first thing is that they're permissionless. So anyone can access the blockchain, and anyone can take part in this because they're decentralized, which really enables just the people to take part in this. And I think this really echoes one of the main notions that I read in one of the readings that we had for this class, which is that the architecture of the internet is meant to enable the people and enable people to connect with each other and make a voice for themselves. And the internet is a tool to enable them to do that. And that permissionless nature of blockchain just echoes that same principle. And that's really connected to the number 2, which is the decentralization of it, which is that there's no central organization that can dictate and impose rules on the public. It's the public's own agency to decide what is important and what matters to the blockchain, because anyone can have an impact on it. And all of these are really connected to 3 and 4, which is that it's trustless and transparent, and you can see the blockchain. You could look up yourself the blockchain for any of these cryptocurrencies and see what transactions are happening. And that transparency really enables people to know that it really genuinely is decentralized and anyone can make the impact that they want. And there's no censorship, restraint, or and it's, as well as that, it's programmable. And all of these just really circle around the same principle, which is enabling the people and the public to take part in what is important and have a role in the blockchain and growing it.
Yeah, so now that we have a good idea of what blockchain is and kind of how it ties into decentralized finance, because decentralized finance, or DeFi, works on blockchain technology. Now we have some context. Now we're going to talk about the applications. How is it being used currently? Why is it beneficial? What might be some ways that it can be applied? And then we'll go into future things after that.
So the benefits of decentralized finance, which is DeFi, one of them is that it is more open and transparent than traditional finance, which is what we were talking about when going into blockchain and exploring how it's a public ledger. And a public blockchain acts as a trust source, governing all of the operations in the financial sector. And it also has a lack of barriers to entry, which means anyone who has programming skills can take part in building financial services and tools that are on this public blockchain. And it allows more people to be able to understand financial systems better and have more of an impact on where their money is and how it's being used. And decentralized finance makes it possible for developers to come up with different financial instruments that are capable of operating digital assets with no limitations, since they could take advantage of this blockchain technology. And decentralized finance also has what it takes to revolutionize the financial sector in a time of growing concerns about data and privacy security, because what's good about blockchain is that it's very secure and private, which is really important when dealing with financial systems.
Right. So here's a couple other benefits of DeFi that we have listed, which is that it gives the users of the blockchain a little bit more control over the money that they have through personal wallets. So this is just another way that users of the blockchain and people that are investing in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum have just more agency over what they have, and they know what's going on with their own personal wallets. Then next we have that trading services specifically cater to the individuals. So because cryptocurrency is so young and it's so new, all these different cryptocurrency platforms really are targeted towards individuals investing and enable just individual constituents that could invest in themselves instead of putting banks on a higher platform and then forcing people to use them and lose some of their own money to use that as their platform. And then it is also based on open source technology that anyone can program with. So like we said before, a huge principle of the blockchain is that anyone can access the ledger and anyone could program part of the blockchain or access and look at any of this DeFi. So having the open source just enables people to know what's going on and be informed, which is a huge part of enabling the people. And then it also provides a strong and an up and coming alternative to a system that's opaque and tightly controlled. So it's really just focusing on the contrast between what we have now, where banks really control this type of finance and people really don't know what's going on and they just have to put trust, blind trust into the people that control their finance. Whereas now with blockchain, people have more agency as to what's going on with their own finances. And then finally, it also allows accessibility to anyone that has access to the internet. Every year that goes by, more people have access to the internet and more people consequentially have access to the blockchain. So it's really just enabling anyone to grow their portfolio, anyone to control their own finances, which is really enabling and really just a great freedom that the blockchain enables.
So now we're going to talk about what's holding DeFi back. So there, obviously decentralized finance has a lot of benefits. We just listed a lot of them, their applications. So then why is this not blowing up? So we're going to talk about that.
So DeFi investing, there's a ton of different questions around DeFi, and a lot of them that are really important to just touch on are what differentiates different DeFi investing platforms within DeFi, and also what differentiates different DeFi currencies, which is a big deal with blockchain, is that there's a ton of different currencies that you could have. And then also, what will be the future of DeFi investment management, and what is that going to look like? And these are a lot of questions that are holding people back from investing in DeFi and deciding to move towards a decentralized financial system. So it's interesting to look at those and see different ways we can answer them.
All right, so just taking a little deeper dive into what is holding DeFi back. There's three major bottlenecks that's constricting decentralized finance growth. And so the first one is volatility. So there's currently extreme volatility surrounding cryptocurrencies, as the value of these currencies is just constantly moving up and down with very high magnitudes. And that's a bit of a deterrent to people who want to invest large sums of money, because while volatility can be good if it's going up, it can also be detrimental if it's going down. And generally, just people that are investing are risk averse because they don't want to lose what they have. And so it's just a little bit of a barrier to get invested when it's still so volatile and still new. The next bottleneck that we have is accountability. And because DeFi is premised around the optimistic fact that this is replacing laws and institutions with blockchain that will prevent corruption, fraud, and inequity, there are many attacks that are happening. And with these attacks, there's no authority determining what to do in the case of these events that affect so many people that are invested in the blockchain or want to be invested. And kind of what happens with that is the decentralized nature, which is so good because it enables people's freedoms as far as investing, can also be a shortcoming because there's less protection. There's no centralized just government or organization protecting or backing it because it's so decentralized. and people are trying to take advantage of that fact that there's no enforcer, and laws in general have not really caught up to the blockchain because it's moving so quickly with technology, and laws and litigation really just lag behind technology in general. And then next is the perception, which is that many people still think this is based on speculation, and there's a changing mindset that has been there for centuries, which is hard to really change. People are always a little bit skeptical of technology. Like when television was first introduced, people thought it would be the downfall of people's attention and progression as far as humanity, just because of how it plays a role in how people kind of deal with technology and how they interact with the world. So whenever there's a new thing, people are a bit speculative and a bit reserved in how they want to jump into it. And so the same thing is happening with DeFi. Even though it is something that enables people to invest, people are a little bit worried just because it's new.
So now that we have looked at kind of what the applications and benefits of DeFi are, we've seen that they have a lot of useful applications to people, to organizations in the world. And then we've seen kind of what's holding it back. What are the problems that people are concerned with? We're going to kind of combine those now and kind of look at what the future holds for DeFi.
So what does the future for DeFi look like? Currently, it is unregulated, which means the whole ecosystem is plagued with just different infrastructural mishaps and scams and hacks. But because current laws are created based on the idea of separate financial jurisdictions, DeFi's like borderless ability will raise really big questions about the future of regulation and the type of regulation that will be coming. And it is a matter of when that will be coming, not if it will be coming. And other concerns that will need to be addressed are just the stability of the system itself, especially since the different currencies are pretty unpredictable in how their values are changing. Also, its carbon footprint, especially now with so much attention being paid to climate change and seeing what that's doing to our environment, and just the energy requirements of having blockchain.
Right. And so another thing we just want to take a peek at is meme currencies, and cryptocurrencies have appeared as memes, quote unquote, which are not really based on a future in establishing themselves as a currency for people, but just as almost a joke. But because the blockchain enables anyone to do what they do, something like a cryptocurrency like Dogecoin, which is really based on the meme of a dog, has gained a lot of traction and has a lot of investors. And so that raises questions about what are people really valuing in cryptocurrencies if so many people are backing a currency genuinely based on a joke. And so it also just makes us question for the future, in a world where so many cryptocurrencies are currently competing to be the most established and the most trusted, what factors really matter for them to gain that respect.
Yeah, so besides cryptocurrencies, there's a lot of other blockchain applications that have been gaining a lot of traction currently in the news, in popularity, especially with younger people. So some of this is, NFTs have become very, very popular. But blockchain also has a lot of different applications that people don't realize. Social impact in real estate. Real estate can be, used. Blockchain can be very helpful in the real estate market, and identification. So these are a lot of applications that we should be looking out for that are going to really come up in popularity with blockchain in the future.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you guys learned more about blockchain and its possible applications in financial systems. And thank you so much for listening.